Thank you so much for having me, Manahil and Nimra, on this beautiful storytelling evening. And I'm so happy and grateful to be here. And the story that I'm about to share is a story that my father shared with me a long time ago when South Africa was going, apartheid had just ended. And I was about 9, 10 years old, and we were now allowed to go to Model C schools, which meant we could now be in mixed schools. So it was the first time, I think I was about 10 years old, where I interacted with children, with white children. And it was so interesting for me and the experience. But like any honeymoon, it only lasted a little longer until I went to high school. And I didn't realize at that time that there was some discrimination. And my father spoke a lot about Nelson Mandela from the time I was really young. Till today, you can go into my house in South Africa, in Kimberley, and there's more pictures of Nelson Mandela in the house than there is of us as children. So that's how much my father loves Nelson Mandela. And it was at the time when I was about 9, 10 years old, and my father, Nelson Mandela was freed from prison. And I'll never forget this moment. I was sitting with my father, my mother and my sisters went over to my granny's house, who just lived down the street from us. And we were still living in what was called the colored area. And our house was it was called the rainbow housing area, because each house looked the same but was painted a different color. So you knew which one was yours. And ours was like an orangey, pinkish color with like a red stoop outside. And we still had that old school black and white TV where you had to get up and turn the knobs, and it made a sound of like, and the aerial was a lot bigger than what I was, and you had to walk back carefully so as not to like disturb the signal. And I was sitting with my father, and we saw this man walk out of these prison gates with his hand held up high, shouting "Viva!" And my father got up and he said, "Viva Mtata, Madiba, Viva!" And I looked at him and I said, "Daddy, who is this person?" And he said, this man, Jacqui, he has now set you free. He set you free from, you can be anything you want to be. You can travel the world because of this man." And I didn't understand. And he said, "This man sat in prison because he had a belief. He believed that we are all the same, and he fought for us and he fought for our freedom, and he sat in prison for 27 years. And I was like, wow. And I saw this tear coming down from my father's face, and it was the first time I really saw my father so emotional. And he looked at me and he said, "From this day, Jacqui, you're not just a colored, you are colorful, you are colorful." And that always stuck with me, that what my father shared. But it was the story that really stuck with me, because when I went to high school and I felt discrimination towards me and I couldn't understand what was going on, my father shared the story with me. The school that I went to in high school was about 2 hours away from our home. So he would drive weekends and come pick me up and share stories with me while we're driving back in the car. And this is how the story goes. And over time, I've developed it. So, and I've heard it in different places, but this is how the story goes. So I hope you enjoy. Hey, mama, way. Once upon a time, many moons ago, it must have been at the beginning of time, when all the colors walked upon the earth. And all the colors were walking and walking until they started noticing that each one started noticing that they were more important than the other. They started believing in themselves that each one was more special than the other. And they started believing this thought that each one was more unique than the other. And so they began to quarrel and fight with one another. And there was this big fight that started happening between all the colors. And then the first color to stand up was the color green. And green stood up and green said, "You people all think you are so special, but I'm the special one. Can't you see that God blessed me and I'm all over the place? When you take a drive in your car, you'll see that I am the green grass. I am the leaves on the trees. We all know that without me, all the animals would die. That's why I am the most important color of all." Hey, mama, way, hey, mama, way, hey, mama, way. And the next color to stand up was the color blue. And blue interrupted green and said, "Excuse me, green, but you think you're the most important color of all?" Darling, can't you see that I'm the most important color of all? I mean, God put me up in the sky. I am the color of the ocean. I am the color of water. The water gets lifted up into the clouds and it rains. Please, green, can't you see I'm the most important color of all? Without me, we all know everybody would die. Hey, mama, way, hey, mama, way, hey, mama, way. And the next color to stand up was the color yellow. And yellow stood up, and yellow blew her trumpet, and she went, you think you're so important? Shame, green and blue. Can't you see that I was the color chosen for the sun? I was the color chosen for the stars. And everyone knows when they stay into a sunflower, I just bring smiles to their faces. Well, I'm the color of joy. I bring laughter to everybody. Please, that's why I'm the most important color of all. Hey, hey, mama, way, hey, mama, way, hey, mama, way. And the next color to stand up was the color orange. And orange said, "Ahem. Now I know you don't see me all the time, okay? And I know that I might be scarce, but let me tell you something. I am the color of vitamins. I know you say vitamins, but I say vitamins. And I am in the pumpkins. I am in oranges. I give you life in your blood. Without me, you will all die. We all know that. Plus, on top of it, when you see a majestic sunrise or a magnificent sunset, all eyes are on me. Therefore, I'm the most important color of all. Away. Hey, mama, way. Hey, mama, way. Hey, mama, way. And the next color to stand up was the color red. And she stood up in a full fury and said, "What? Can't you see I am the most important color of all? I am the color of anger. I am the color of passion. I am the color of love. I am the color that runs through your veins. I am the color of blood. Without me, this world would be as lifeless as the moon. Oh my gosh, we all know that I'm the color of the red rose and the poinsettia. I am the most important color of all." Hey, mama, way. Hey, mama, way. Hey, mama, way. And the next color to stand up was the color purple. And he stood up and said, "Excuse me, I know that you might all be arguing with yourselves, but let me get this straight. I was the color chosen for bishops. I was the color chosen for kings and queens. You can also find me in grapes and eggplants. Why, we all know that when I mourn, everybody looks at me and obeys, you fools. Therefore, I am the most important color of all. Ha! Hey, mama, way, hey, mama, way, hey, mama, way, and the last color to stand up was indigo. And indigo said, excuse me, excuse me, I know you are all arguing and fighting with yourselves, but I just want to say something. I know you can't really see me that much, but I am found in the depths of the universe and in the deep, dark oceans, and I bring calmness, and I give you depth, and I give you insight, and I give you peace. Without me, you'd all just be so superficial. Therefore, I'm the most important color of all. Hey, mama, way, hey, mama, way, hey, mama, way, and then all the colors began to argue and fight some more. And they just started fighting and shouting and screaming at each other, each one thinking that they were more important than the other, each one believing that they were more special than the other. They did not realize that big black puffy clouds began to form high in the sky, and thunder rippled through the clouds, and then lightning struck, and all the colors disappeared, shaking. Then rain began to pour. Now I'm going to need your guys' help. So I'm going to ask you to put your hands together like this. And we're going to rub our hands. And we're going to put that sound by our ear. And we're going to imagine that soft raindrops falling down, the sound of rain. Yeah. And rain began to pour down. That's good. Good job. And rain said, oh, you foolish colors, look at you, fighting amongst yourselves, each one of you thinking you are more important than the other. Did you not realize that our Creator has made you all unique and special for who you are? We have our differences as well as our similarities. Don't be afraid. Come, come. And so all the colors carefully came out of their hiding place, and they gathered together, and rain said, come, come together, you silly colors. And they stood next to one another. And rain said, look at each other and see the beauty in each other. And then when you see the beauty in each other, you see the beauty in you. So now hold hands. And so all the colors held hands. And rain said, from this day forth, I'm going to lift you up. And all the colors got lifted up high in the sky. And rain said, from this day forward, I will place you up in the sky so that after a heavy rainfall, when that sun shines, you will shine so bright, and you will be a symbol of hope and peace for the future. In letting people remember and know that we can live in peace and harmony by accepting our differences and our similarities. Give it up for the rainbow.